I've shared the top theme. Nobody has joined. Fine, and either way, entered it back. Just do a little live streams, see if anybody shows up. So far, I think it's just me, but yeah, talk a little bit about some of my favorite synth-pop bands, maybe Depeche Mode, maybe New Order, Erasure, OMG, Thomas Dolby, got some Thompson Twins right now, playing a little bit in the background. So yeah, if you're here, give me a comment, let me know that you stopped by. We'll see. I'm going to roll with this. I've never tried to do a solo live chat before, but we'll just see how this goes. There'll be some interruptions along the way. What I got playing right now, I got, this is Thompson Twins, and this is their album, Here's the Future Days. I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, 1987, maybe. I feel like it's like 86 or 87. I'm not entirely sure. This has Lay Your Hands on Me, which was a big hit. King for a Day, which was on the radio. But I like some of the deeper tracks, like You Killed the Clown, which is going to be coming up in a little bit. I think it's pretty cool. But I don't, people like Thompson Twins, whatever. Some pop snobs maybe don't care for Thompson Twins, but personally, I happen to enjoy quite a bit of the Thompson Twins catalog. I think they had one album maybe in the 90s before they broke up, but nonetheless, it's what I was in the mood for anyway. So it's a pretty cool Saturday night. It's at least here anyway. It's not been a very warm day or a warm evening. It's about 74 degrees right now, but I'll be talking a little synth pop, and mostly I'm going to be reaching for CDs, like Speak and Spell. What do people think about the first Depeche Mode synth pop? Their first album. I think this was 1981. This definitely has Vince Clarke all over it. And then you've got A Broken Frame, which is after Vince Clarke left. Vince Clarke left to go do Yaz with Alison Moyet, and then they were down to a trio. And I think this album is worlds better than the first one, Speak and Spell. Got Leave in Silence on here, My Secret Garden, a great 1-2 punch to lead off the album. See You, Meaning of Love and See You, I know we're both singled up here. But again, I like some of the deeper tracks, like Even Shouldn't Have Done That on side B, if you're familiar with that one. Some great synth stuff there. And then they followed that up with Construction Time Again, which had Love in Itself. And one of their more popular tracks, I think they still play it live to this day, Everything Counts. I'm a big fan of side 2. I actually like side 2, I think a little bit better. You got Shame, The Landscape Is Changing, Told You So. The Landscape Is Changing was written by Alan Wilder, his first composition for Depeche Mode. Hey, Dusty, how's it going? The start of the dark period. Yeah, they were a little, that's the thing I think that I don't particularly, not that I don't like Speak and Spell, but I feel like it was a little too, I don't know what, like insubstantial maybe, a little too closer to kind of like, and I like Yes, but it's not very dark. Just to go back to that one, like Boys Say Go, you know, you got some a little bit of homoerotic subject matter. What's Your Name, for instance? No Disco. It's not really a lot like Depeche Mode. I know, like, just can't get enough of the big single off of there, and so that's what people remember. But I mean, it's okay, but I like starting with a Broken Frame. Definitely, yeah, Depeche Mode's industrial sound era, which I think, you know, kind of was really in full flower with Construction Time again. You know, you had a lot of sound like pipes banging, you know, like on the song Pipeline, Everything Counts, obviously. Got a lot of kind of that industrial sound, and not industrial in like Nine Inch Nails kind of industrial or Ministry, but you know, for that time, you know, yeah, I like this album. I like the next album even better, which, where is that one? I see these are out of order. It's not this one. Where the hell in my, whoops. Well, this is People Are People. I know I got, the one I'm looking for is Some Great Reward. I can't find it, but anyway, Some Great Reward was really when Depeche Mode kind of, I think, came into their own. You know, hey, Ralstonian, how's it going? Some Great Reward, yeah, because we got, I don't know what that's plugging. I don't know where it went. Sometimes my kids take my CDs and put them all out of order, which I think is maybe what happened, but I'll go with this one. Anyway, these are cool. If you got these were the kind of like the deluxe versions of these. It's got a DVD with it, and it's got surround sound. But yeah, like I like, you know, Something to Do kicks it off, and then Lie to Me, very cool. Like this, I think was even a progression over Construction Time. Again, a big progression. I mean, a lot of solid Depeche Mode stuff on here, like Somebody, Master and Servant, People Are People, obviously, Blasphemous Rumors, definitely one of their better efforts. Yeah, the Rhino remasters is what these are. Look, I've got this one, and then, I mean, the heavy hitter, this was the one for Black Celebration, which, I mean, Black Celebration, what more could be said? I love, and this was really, I think, one of the darkest Depeche Mode albums, but I'm a big fan of this one. Black Celebration, Fly in the Windscreen is great on here. Question of Lust, Question of Time, obviously. Probably, I don't know, is this everybody's favorite Depeche Mode album? I think it's probably mine. If I had to rank Depeche Mode albums, I would probably go with Black Celebration. Violator would probably be number 2. I like Music for the Masses a lot, so Music for the Masses would probably be number 3. And even Songs of Faith and Devotion, I like that album a lot. I'm not an anti Song of Faith and Devotion person, but yeah, the Rhino, were the Rhino the Doors issues were those remixes? Because I've got this, not to get off the Synth track, but Is that what these are? I know these are the remixes, but is this the Rhino? Yeah, it says Rhino on it. So it's got the, I like these. I've seen a lot of reviews. People don't like these because they're too different from the original mixes, but I don't care. I think they bring out certain sounds, certain instruments. It's a kind of a different way of hearing it, but this is another one of the Rhino, I guess, reissues, if you will. This was the first Depeche Mode album that I ever owned, and it was on the strength of Never Let Me Down Again. I mean, I'd heard the video, I'd seen the video for People Are People, but that video for Never Let Me Down Again, the sound, that was enough to prompt me to get the cassette for this particular album. And then you got Strange Love on here. And then, you know, they toured it and they did the 101, obviously the live album, and the music video, or the movie 101, which is sort of like the Real World, like one of the earliest reality kinds of shows. But yeah, I love the artwork too on these early Depeche Mode records as well. You know, they were just great images. You know, you got that one. Yeah, I mean, images like that, like these were iconic pictures, and they used, even like one of my favorites is A Broken Frame. Love that cover, like that painting. I don't know who painted it, but you've got kind of a different image of it on the back. And then I've got the one for Violator as well. The thing I wish, you know, they got bonus tracks on here. They got the B-sides and stuff like that, but you can only play them on your DVD player, which annoys me. I wish that they were also on CD, so I could actually listen to them on my stereo, but it kind of pisses me off a little bit. Yeah, 101 show, yeah, OMD opened up. Thomas Dolby. Was Thomas Dolby a part of that? I have no idea. Yeah, was that original? Was that on Life magazine cover before it was actually on the Depeche Mode album? I don't know, but one thing I do know is I got to turn the volume down, man. I can't even hear myself think. But yeah, so anyway, I'm not just here just to talk about Depeche Mode, but Depeche Mode was one of the first synth pop bands that really, I did a deep dive into their catalog. I was buying everything Depeche Mode. I think before Violator came out, I had like all their cassettes up to that point. I had 101, the movie on VHS tape. But yeah, it was just something about them. It was different from anything else that was that I had been exposed to anyway up to that point. And then I got into OMD, got into New Order, got into The Cure, got into all those bands. But yeah, I am also, as you know, a huge fan of Thomas Dolby. This, for me, is top 10 synth pop album easily. And I got this reissue recently as well. Got a little different back cover here. And then I got there's the vinyl reissue of that one as well. But so Dusty, you've been a huge Mode fan of synth pop period, actually. Yeah, I think it was probably, yeah, what was when Music for the Masses came out? It was 1987. So that, I got that cassette. I got the best of OMD on cassette at that time, which I was really, I knew If You Leave. I'd heard that. I think it was on the Pretty in Pink soundtrack. And then I had, I bought the Pacific Age. Then I got the Best of OMD, and then I started working my way backwards on their catalog, like Dazzle Ships, Organization, Junk Culture, Crush are some of my favorite OMD albums. And this one too, which try not to break my CDs. Damn it. See, I dropped the CD. This was Organization. I dropped the CD, and now I've got broken spindles. Annoys me. But anyway, the record that I was reaching for, the CD I was reaching for was Architecture and Morality. I think this was their third album. They have the subtitled Organization. This was a third album. They've got different color schemes on here. This is my original reissue, and this one's kind of a dark industrial kind of an album. And then they reissued it, remastered it with this cover. Sorry about the glare. But then they also have this, which is the singles. So just strictly the singles and like the B-sides off here. And there's a lot of tracks on here. Like the singles for Souvenir, Joan of Arc, Maid of Orleans, the remixes, the B-sides and everything like that. So yeah, I like that one too. Camouflage. I've never heard of Camouflage. I can't even believe it. Were they from the 80s? Why don't I know about them? I've got two versions of Organization also. I got this this version where the lettering is kind of big, and then this is a great album. I love this cover, and I feel like it fits so well with the music. Enola Gay, Second Thought, BCL X1, Motion and Heart. Love Motion and Heart. Love Statues too. Statues is such a dark, atmospheric song, and just the textures of those synthesizers on there are fantastic. Yeah, Camouflage 80s. Okay, very cool. But this is another top 10. This might be my favorite OMD album, and I like Dazzle Ships though, but I like also Architecture and Morality. I like Junk Culture. And this is kind of where OMD started branching out a little bit. Like you've got kind of some world rhythms on here. Yeah, just, and OMD had not sounded like this before. And you've got Tesla Girls, which is a great track, Locomotion. Both those were singles. And then kind of that moody instrumental, the title track, Junk Culture. With it sounds like what was that? I'm trying to think, like Herb Alpert, like a Herb Alpert kind of like horn. That, you know what I'm talking about. And then you got Apollo. Yeah, all wrapped up. Almost sounds like a hot. You know, the Buster Poindexter, it's kind of got that rhythm to it. So we're getting more poppy, less kind of brooding synthesizer based stuff. White Trash, Talking Loud and Clear is just a gem. I love that one. And talking about great artwork, which I think was co-opted from a painting, Crush, love that cover. Like, favorite synth pop covers. I mean, these two got to be up there, right? I mean, just classic paintings. And I feel like once the 90s came, like they stopped giving a shit about how their covers looked. You know, like for instance, and let me put it in the right spot in the OMD section. Sorry about that. But yeah, like even for Depeche Mode, who I always thought had like really great classic covers. Like this cover, I hate this cover. I hate it. I hate the lettering. I hate just the images of them. This cover does nothing for me. And you know what I hate even worse cover-wise, if we're just talking about covers? I think this cover sucks. I hate, like, Depeche Mode. I loved all their covers up to Violator, and then that one sucked. Like this one, it's kind of... it's okay. I mean, it reminds me a lot of Violator with the flower. So I'm okay with that one. But then, you know, like, what is this piece of shit? Like, seriously, this is the best. This is the best you could come up with. You know, we went from great covers like this to this. Just like no imagination. What the hell is going on here? I don't know. I mean, I'm no art major, I'm no art connoisseur, but I know what sucks and what doesn't. And I've never been happy with those covers. Like Delta Machine, I don't know, like I could have done more, I guess, with this image, less with the, but I don't know. Is it me? Am I just being picky? Or, I mean, what do you think? I don't know. You gotta love the Yaz album, Upstairs at Eric's. Yeah, and talk about great covers. I love that one. You know, Upstairs at Eric's. I gotta. This is driving me nuts here. Take that off the turntable. Sorry about that. Upstairs at Eric's. Where's my CD? Yeah, I mean, this almost looks like a Hypnosis cover, but I love this one. This is one of the early ones. Like when I was in college, everybody had this on cassette. Don't Go. I love Alison Moyet's voice. She is just, I mean, she can sound like a blues singer, but then she can also sing a ballad great. She can sing a dance song. Just a perfect voice. Only You, the ballad was great. And then you have I Before E, Except After C, which kind of reminds me, you know, Radiohead had a track off OK Computer, which was Fitter, Happier, which reminds me a lot of I Before E, Except After C. But I love Goodbye 70s, Situation, obviously. I think that got a remix back in the 90s. People rediscovered that track and how great it was. Didn't I Bring Your Love Down? How is that not a single? That is a great album closer, but just a great dance song. Love that one. And then their next one, which was You and Me Both, with the dogs on the cover, kind of like the Dalmatians fighting on the cover, which is supposed to be representing how Vince Clarke and Alison Moyet, you know, their relationship was kind of fractured at this point. Vince Clarke was already, I think he had 1 foot out the door ready to form Erasure, which I think Andy Bell sounds a lot like, I know it sounds weird because he's a dude, but sounds a lot like Alison Moyet. I feel like it's not that big of a jump from Yaz or Yazoo, as they properly should be called, to Erasure. But I don't know, I'm kind of lukewarm about Erasure, if we're going to talk about Erasure. But yeah, like up through, I think Wild Chorus was probably the last Erasure album that I got into. But you know, anyway, yeah, what else? Synth pop. And I know I talk about Thomas Dolby a lot just because I like that record a lot. But, you know, and one of the points that I'd made before was people, I think, dismissed this album just because She Blinded Me with Science. The video for that was just so kind of wacky and comical. And so I think people thought it was a novelty track and they really didn't dig deeper into this album. But I'm telling you, if you haven't heard this and you're a synth pop fan, you are completely missing out, because it's got Radio Silence, which I think had a video on MTV. Airwaves is a great kind of a, I don't want to call it a ballad, but Europa and the Pirate Twins, which I think was one of his first singles. Commercial Breakup is great. Wind Power, just a phenomenal album. Hey, Alan, how's it going? Do I have any Flock of Seagulls albums? Well, give me a minute and I will actually show you which ones I got. I got their first three. And I just, where am I putting this? Okay. Yeah, I got their first three. Hold on. So yeah, I mean the classic Iran, Space Age Love Song, Messages, Telecommunication. And this is another band. If they hadn't had these funny haircuts, I think people would have taken them a bit more seriously because this is a great album. But at the same time, I've never heard anybody who is a serious new wave or synth pop fan ever talk badly about this album. I think this album does get a lot of respect. I got Listen here, which of course, you know, everyone talks about. Space Age Love Song, off of, which I mean, yeah, granted, it's great. No, sorry, not Space Age Love Song. What is it? If I Had a Photograph of You, Wishing If I Had a Photograph of You, on this one. And again, with a goofy haircut. And then this was the one that I picked up about a year ago, which really impressed. I had never heard it before, but Story of a Young Heart is great. European, I Wish I Was. So yeah, I think I've been looking for that Dolby album since you mentioned it last week. Yeah, I think you might be able to find it on Amazon. Actually, that's where I got the recent reissue, but that is one definitely to get. Yeah, you know, do we love Duran Duran into synth pop? Because like their Duran Duran's first album is definitely kind of a mix of disco and synth pop, Girls on Film, Planet Earth. And this is the North American version, so it's got Is There Something I Should Know instead of To the Shore, Night Boat, Sound of Thunder. Definitely fantastic. And then of course Rio. Is this synth pop? I don't know. Is it just new wave? But I tend to lump Psychedelic Furs into the whole synth pop thing. But yeah, Wishing was a big hit in the UK. Yeah, Love Nightmares track. Human League definitely, yeah, fits that genre. I think the only Human League one that I've got is the Fascination. I think it was like an EP. It's got that song Keep Feeling Fascination on it. Hey, you got to go upstairs. What else? Synth pop, but those are like my early synth pop stuff. Like Soft Cell would be another one that's fantastic. But yeah, I like Yes. This is the I've got this too. This is Flock of Seagulls. I don't know if you can see that. This is like their best of, which pretty much has, you know, all of their from their first three. I don't know. People say the fourth Flock of Seagulls album is not good. I haven't heard it, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But anyway, the things that I've heard from people are that it is not great. So I don't know. Ross Stoney, have a good night. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. So I do like Flock of Seagulls. Some other synth pop stuff that I've been getting into lately. Like, do we consider, well, let's talk a little bit about Thomas Dolby, like, and just even his progression. For the first one, this is the second one, The Flat Earth, which I definitely think it was, this to me, it's like as big of a leap as, and another band I'm going to talk about is Tears for Fears, but the Hurting to Songs from the Big Chair, that's the leap that Thomas Dolby made with his first album Golden Age of Wireless to The Flat Earth. This is just such a more mature album. And I love Golden Age of Wireless, don't get me wrong, but this has got The Flat Earth on it, Screen Kiss, which is great. I Scare Myself, Hyperactive was a big single off of this one. And then Aliens Ate My Buick, which, you know, again, with kind of the goofiness, and I know that's sort of Thomas Dolby's persona. He likes to, you know, be a little irreverent, as it were. But this is Aliens Ate My Buick. And Pulp Culture off of here is great. Budapest by Blimp is a fantastic song. Best song on this album for me by far. It reminds me a lot of his first album. Definitely a great one, but I don't think as solid as his first two. And then this was his last album, I think, of the 80s. This is Astronauts and Heretics. But yeah, what was the second album with Hyperactive? That was The Flat Earth. That's this one. And he was on Capitol Records for these first couple of albums. But yeah, I really think he kind of, you know, unfortunately, people thought of him as just a one-hit wonder because of She Blinded Me with Science. People thought, well, that's all he ever did. He had that kind of wacky video. And so people never took him seriously, you know, very unfortunately, because like I say, I think his stuff is totally top notch. And Tears for Fears too. I'll pull out some Tears for Fears records that I've got. Because I really enjoy their, let me pull out what I got from Tears for Fears. So this is the Hurting. I've got this copy. Aaron actually gifted me this one. They were on Mercury Records at this point. And again, just an amazing debut for them. I mean, you've got the Hurting, obviously. Change was a video. This is the first I'd ever heard of Tears for Fears was Change, was the video. I love that xylophone on there. Mad World, Pale Shelter is great. Suffer the Children, The Prisoner, Start of the Breakdown. I look at that mullet. That is an amazing mullet right there. I mean, that set the standard for mullets in the 1980s. Kurt Smith's mullet that he had right there. And then you got a little bigger picture on the inner sleeve, and then the lyrics here. So one of the best synth pop debuts, I think, for my money. And, you know, it took them like 3 years to come up with a follow-up. But before they did that, they came out with this single, which is The Way You Are. It was kind of a stopgap single. This has The Way You Are, an extended version, and on the B-side, The Marauders. But this was on, I think this is on the remastered Songs from the Big Chair. I think it's a bonus track, or it might be on the Hurting. I'm pretty sure it's on Songs from the Big Chair, but nonetheless, this was like a non-album single. It still got the font from the first album, even though it wasn't on the first album. And then, of course, you know, their masterpiece Songs from the Big Chair, which, you know, Everybody Wants to Rule the World was the first song I had heard off of it, but then Shout became a hit, was on MTV. I love The Working Hour. The Working Hour almost sounds like I don't want to say yacht rock, but it almost is like a kind of like a jazzy, what do I call it? Like smooth jazz almost in a way. Mother's Talk is a heavy track. I Believe, kind of that gentle piano ballad with those ominous piano chords. Broken, Head Over Heels, like top 5 song for the 1980s for me. I love Head Over Heels. Never get tired of that one. And then right into Listen, which makes it sound like it's a live recording because you got that broken reprise on it. But I love this album in so many ways. Tipping Point, you know, and this was a debate. Great. I'm glad you brought up Tipping Point, because for me, I honestly had a debate with myself. Like, do I like Tipping Point better than this? Because I have just fallen in love with the Tipping Point. I'm like, I don't know. Do I like it better than this? And I don't know if it's just the newness of it, but just a great, great album. The Tipping Point. This was the Shout. This is a Shout 12-inch single. It's got the US remix. And on side A, and then a US remix on side B. I don't know if one's longer than the other. I don't remember. And then Everybody Wants to Rule the World. This is just the extended version on one side, and then on side two, you got Everybody Wants to Rule the World and a song called Pharaohs, which is very good. This is Mother's Talk. This has got Beat of the Drum mix on side A. On side B, Mother's Talk long version, and then the original, I think, Mother's Talk version. So it's got 3 versions of that on there. This is the Head Over Heels 12-inch. And on side 1, you got Broken, Head Over Heels, and then the Broken reprise. So it's like that medley is all on side A. And then you've got Head Over Heels remix. One of these ones, and I don't remember which one it was, it's like called the Preacher version, and it's got like this pastor or minister who at the beginning of the track is like proselytizing or something. It's an interesting mix. And then there's the non-album track, Win in Love with a Blind Man, which is on here. And then this is the Seeds of Love album, very psychedelic, and even a further progression from Songs from the Big Chair, Woman in Chains, the title track. I love one of my favorite. Well, I'm just going to go right out and say it. I think what one was it? Son of Seeds of Love. Swords and Knives. Swords and Knives is my favorite track on this record. Again, it's kind of one of those moody ones. Same as like Budapest by Blimp. It's like this moody synth pop song, which I love. It's very atmospheric. This was a record store day release that came out. This was them live at Massey Hall in Toronto, Canada from 1985. It's got Mother's Talk, Broken, Head Over Heels, and the Broken reprise, Pale Shelter, Memories Fade, Start of the Breakdown, The Prisoner. It's a double album. So on what they call side C1, I Believe, The Working Hour, Mad World, and then on side D, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Hurting, and Shout. No change on here. Interesting. I don't know. They didn't tour with that particular song, but yeah. So that is, well, I've got Tipping Point too on vinyl. I just didn't grab that with the others, but I do have it within reach somewhere here, wherever my Tears for Fears. This is my CD copy of it, but yeah, love the Tipping Point. And the thing I love about the Tipping Point is it sounds like Tears for Fears, but it's a modern, it's like an update of the Tears for Fears sound. You know, it's like a Tears for Fears picking up where they left off. And I don't have Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. It's extremely expensive on eBay, like to the tune of $60 for a CD, which I'm not sure. I mean, what I've heard of it, I like, but I'm not sure I want to, you know, lay down that kind of money for it. But yeah, Tears for Fears is definitely up there for me. Talk. How about Talk? Talk about another band that, you know, progressed over, they started out with like just synthesizers and drum machines. And I mean, this is just not a bad debut, but nothing that's gonna, like blow your mind or anything like that. But then this album, holy smokes, it's my life. And I know, what was it? Gwen Stefani, her band, No Doubt, did a cover of it, which I don't care for. I prefer the original, but this is definitely way better than their debut album. And then their third album, which is The Color of Spring, which I love the artwork on their albums also. Talk Talk is fantastic. Simple Minds, yeah, I do have, I got the album with, and after I'm done talking to Talk Talk, it's the one with Alive and Kicking on it, so I'll find it. But yeah, this is like even more of a progression. Now we're getting to like more guitar, getting into some different rhythms, piano, more organic kind of instruments, I guess is maybe a better way to put it. So they kind of moved. I don't even know if it's fair to categorize this album as synth pop. And then their fourth album, the one that the Spirit of Eden, like, come on, it's not even close. There was no band that sounded like this. And this is I've recommended this album to people, and I can understand if people like listen to it and like, not sure I get it, because it's so light years ahead of their first three albums. It's almost like Ornette Coleman. It's very quiet in spots. It's very loud in other spots, but it's almost like a jazz album in many ways. But it's sort of like what Radiohead were breaking ground doing in the late 90s. I feel like Talk Talk was ahead of the curve, and nobody listened to it. Nobody bought this album. I don't think it did very well in the charts, although I think it's their best album. Desire is an amazing track on here. I Believe in You, for crying out loud. I will play some of this actually, because I dig this. Once Upon a Time, that's the Simple Minds album. But I'm going to throw this on here, and YouTube might kick me off or shut my channel down, but I don't give a shit. I'll just take the video down if that's the case. But this is Desire. Anybody heard this album? Because stop me if you think you've heard this one before. But this is just to give you a flavor. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. And I love the artwork too. Like, why couldn't they have made this cover bigger on the CD? I don't understand. It's a great image. Blow it up, for crying out loud. Then their best of CD. This is Natural History. This is Laughing Stock. But there's just like moments of silence. Every instrument has a purpose. Got the piano, just the bass playing here. I do like Pet Shop Boys, actually. I like Pet Shop Boys a lot. What's my Pet Shop Boys stuff? that. And his voice reminds me of Steve Winwood here. And I even forget what his name is. And it's just kind of got this industrial sound, and then it's going to pick up right here. It's just going to totally bash over that. So anyway, that's Talk Talk. That's Desire off of there. And I think this album came out in like 1988 maybe. So it just sounds so far ahead of what anybody else was doing back then. And I know, I get on my soapbox and I start talking very passionately about these artists and these albums and whatnot, but it's just so enjoyable. And yeah, like for me, Depeche Mode would probably be my number one synth pop band. I saw them on the Violator tour. I saw them on the second American leg of their Songs of Faith and Devotion. I think it was called the Devotional Tour. And the thing that was interesting, when I saw them on the Devotional Tour, Andy Fletcher, who just passed away this past year, he was not in the band. I think he had like a nervous breakdown or something on the first leg of that tour. So he was not there. It was just Martin Gore, Dave Gahan, and Alan Wilder who were performing. And I remember the opening act was Primal Scream. And off stage, you could see, because I saw them, it's a venue in just outside Detroit. It's called Pine Knob, and it's an outdoor amphitheater. And my seats were such, I could see like in the wings, Dave Gahan like going off stage and like drinking from like a whiskey bottle. And that was really, if you know anything about Depeche Mode's history, he was getting it heavily into heroin and substance abuse, and he was just a mess on that tour and a mess afterwards. So I saw them on that tour, and then I saw them on the Delta Machine tour, came back to Pine Knob. That's actually the only place I've ever seen Depeche Mode, because that's one of the few places that they come and play at in Detroit, which is an outdoor amphitheater. Delta Machine tour, they were great on that tour. But yeah, fantastic. The Spirit tour, yeah, how was that one? And what do you think about the Spirit album? Because where's my, see, I got Spirit, and then I've got Live Spirits, which unfortunately I love the song selection on here, but Martin Gore's voice is starting to go. He's starting to get kind of like that old man voice, unfortunately, and his voice is sort of got a lot of vibrato in it, if you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it kind of bums me out. But they do a version they cover David Bowie's Heroes on here. But Spirit, for me, I remember, hearing this album and thinking, God, like it's kind of boring. Like it doesn't grab me. I'm just not a fan. But now, I've kind of had a reassessment of it. I do like it more than I did before. I think it's one of those, kind of like for me, but that was how it was with Tipping Point for Tears for Fears. I listened to Tipping Point and I was like, just doesn't grab me. It's okay. And then I listened to it again. I was like, oh, this is actually really better. Now I love it. I think it might be my second or third favorite Tears for Fears album. And I think Spirit the same way. Like I didn't spend enough time with it. I think I actually needed to kind of just give it my attention and listen to it. But yeah, I like it a lot more than I did now. And I mean, what am I know Depeche Mode's not going to come out with Violator. I mean, you know, at their age, I think it would sound silly if they tried to sound like Black Celebration or, you know, even Some Great Reward, like their earlier stuff. So their sound has to evolve. And I'm fine, you know, with the way their sound has evolved. I'm wondering, you know, are Dave and Martin going to continue Depeche Mode on? You know, now that Andy's gone, are they going to try and bring Alan Wilder back, or are they going to continue on like the Who as a duo? I wonder about that. I haven't heard any rumblings about new activity, new Depeche Mode music coming out. So I really don't know. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I hope they're not just going to do it because, you know, they need the money or whatever. I hope if they do continue on, which I could see them totally going forward. I mean, not to diminish, you know, Andy Fletcher, but it's not like he's irreplaceable. I think he was more kind of the glue that held the band together at certain points during its history. But it is fun to go back and watch that 101 movie. I got the DVD version of it recently, and they have a version where it's just strictly the concert. You don't have all the, you know, those group of kids that are following Depeche Mode around. It's strictly the concert. And that's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it definitely takes me back to 1989 when I watched it for the first time. So that is very enjoyable. I'm still collecting Depeche Mode 12 inches. I just got Everything Counts, the 12-inch single from the Construction Time Again era. So I was happy to add that to my collection. Do I have any Gary Newman, Alan? I actually do. Gary Newman, I got the Pleasure Principle, the one that's got cars on it. But maybe I need to explore a little more Gary Newman. Would you recommend Gary Newman beyond that record? Because I've seen some of his stuff. I just haven't explored it. Craftwork is another band that I like quite a bit. Like Craftwork definitely inspired some of my favorite bands like Depeche Mode. Like this is a great synth pop album, Craftwork, Computer World. This is like the original Elektra CD reissue or issue of this album. I've got a German, I've got the album, the vinyl copy of this, and it's in German. So it's got a different title. I forget what the title is, but it's in everything's sung in German too. Trans Europe Express, which, I mean, talk about ahead of their time. This was like 1975 or something like that when this came out. Like, are you kidding me? I didn't know any bands sounded like this back in the day. Sam, how's it going? Yeah, I've not pre-ordered, but I plan on it. Absolutely. Tubeway Army with Gary Newman. Is that one that you would recommend? Very cool. I'll have to check that out. Because I've only heard Cars. I've only heard what's on the Pleasure Principle, but I do like that album. I may have to explore more of his catalog. But yeah, Depeche Mode, I've kind of had this, you know, where I'm all in on Depeche Mode, and then I think it was, what was it? I remember like my first disappointment, like this album, hearing this and being bummed out because I thought like nothing on here. I felt like the songs were weak. I felt like there were no hooks on here. And it's okay. This is not one of my favorite Depeche Mode albums. I like I Feel Love. There's certain songs on here that are okay, but this was the first Depeche Mode album where I was just disappointed. I bought it when it came out, and I was really bummed out because I thought, oh crap, you know, I didn't think Alan Wilder leaving after Songs of Faith and Devotional was going to be that big of a deal. I didn't think it was going to affect their sound that much. And then I read, I've got this Depeche Mode biography, and I read, you know, how he was the one in the studio when all of them were either at the pub or had gone home. He was the one with Flood in the studio, perfecting the tracks, making sure that they had just the right drum sound, that the tracks were perfect. Whereas Martin and Dave were kind of like, whatever, you know, if the song's great, but they weren't going to spend time meticulously going through each song and making it perfect. And I think Alan Wilder was a perfectionist kind of in that way, and that he would spend more time than anybody else in the studio and the mixing process and all of that. Gary's music is very dark, brooding, and paranoid sounding. Well, that's right up my alley. That's my favorite kind of music. The music that sounds like that. Yeah, Exciter was blah, Dusty. I agree. But on the sixth listen, some of the tracks caught on. Yeah, and I kind of struggle with that because it's like, you know, on one hand, I'm like, if this album doesn't grab me after the second listen, it's probably not going to. And maybe it's just not a very good album. But, you know, I'm glad, like with the Tipping Point, I didn't just dismiss it out of hand, because now I love it. Maybe Exciter, you know, is another album like with Spirit, where I just need to give it, you know, some more time, give it another chance. But like I say, I remember vividly hearing that and being like, God, this is just not very good. It's not terrible, but it's not at the level that I had come to expect from Depeche Mode. So, you know, anyway, yeah, I'll have to check out more Gary Newman, I guess. I'm trying to think of some other Depeche Mode stuff. Like, you know, this B-52s, this is a synth pop album. This is actually this and, you know, I've got this too for CD, but Mesopotamia. Talk about great synth pop albums. Those are two, and B-52s I don't think are really known much for being synth pop bands, but those are two that I absolutely love. Replicas and Telecom, beyond those, you kind of left electronica behind. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little more of a deep dive into my Gary Newman collection. But I'm trying to think what other synth pop stuff. Yeah, Eurythmics is another one. I love Eurythmics. I've got all of their albums up until like the first album they released in the 1990s. But Annie Lennox, love her voice. Dave Stewart, I think it was amazing. They were kind of like a Yaz, weren't they? Where you got, you know, Dave Stewart was kind of like Vince Clarke, and Annie Lennox was like an Alison Moyet. They had a little more longevity, obviously, than Yaz. I call them Yaz, but I think they're really called Yazoo. But Two-Way Army was the first two records. Then on the third record, it was just Gary Newman as a solo artist. You're going to love Our Friends Electric track. It's dominated by a massive, ominous synthesizer riff. Number one here in 1979. What, Our Friends Electric, what album is that off of? Thunderstruck, what Depeche Mode compilation albums do you have? Well, funny you should ask, because so People Are People, which is kind of a compilation of their first four albums. I'm just showing CDs because they're within reach, but all of these I've got on vinyl as well. Catching Up with Depeche Mode, which was called The Singles, 1981 to 1985 in the UK, which I had an opportunity to buy this, or the singles, the UK version of it on vinyl, when I was visiting Josh in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And I didn't, and now I'm looking on eBay and it's like, you know, $50. And I'm going to have to grab that at some point. So I got that one. And then the next one that I've got is This one, this is the singles 86 to 98. This is the 2-disc set. And yeah, that's kind of it. But yeah, and it was funny because when Violator came out, when Violator came out in 1990, I was living away at college, and I shared a dorm room with these guys who were all into Tesla. They were into Guns N' Roses. They were into like all these heavy metal bands, Faith No More. They were into Rush, all these bands, like Bonham and Blue Murder and stuff like that. And when Violator came out, they were all Violator fans. I couldn't understand why they liked Violator, but like across the board, all of them loved Violator. All these, like, I don't want to call them metalheads because I'm getting more into heavy metal. I'm not trying to disparage them, but they were big heavy metal fans, hard rock fans. And I got Violator, and they all eventually ended up getting that album. So I think it was a weird crossover kind of album back then. Lenny Lovitch is another good one. I'd heard of Lenny Lovitch was a John Lennon interview right before he died. It might have even been the day that he died. He gave an interview the morning of the day that he died, and he was talking about Lenny Lovitch and how he liked her music. So that's one that I got to check out. Same vein as Berlin or Missing Persons. Yeah, I know so many. I think I've got so much synth pop, but there's so much more to discover. So many more artists that still I have to explore and get into. And I'm trying to think what recently I've gotten, like God, I don't know. Berlin's another band. I've got Berlin. I've got Pleasure Victim, their first album, but then, I know they've got a couple albums after that. I got to get some Missing Persons. I really do. I love their tracks like Walking in LA, that one album where she looks like Lady Gaga on the cover. I know I got to get that one. No Man's Land record from Lenny Love, which was blown away when I heard that for the first time. I'm going to have to look that up on Spotify. Some of these bands like the Gary Newman stuff and Lenny Lovitch, because I know it's good. I mean, you guys all like it, and you guys like the same stuff I do. So, but yeah, like as far as, if I were to try and get somebody into synth pop, what would I recommend to them? Well, obviously, I think Depeche Mode is a good gateway. The two probably, for somebody who, like, let's say for, Aaron Mutha Alamere, who not a huge synth pop fan, not that he doesn't like it, but he actually likes Violator quite a bit. And like I say, all my metal loving friends back in college like this one. So I'd probably start with that one. I think this is another one. And Depeche Mode, and I know it sounds weird, but they remind me a bit on Pink Floyd, some of Pink Floyd's albums, where they kind of like segue into one another, like especially on side 2 here. Side 2, I don't think there's a moment of silence. I think the songs just segue right into each other, and you've got kind of like these weird interludes, which I gravitated toward. That's why I like this album so much. So I think those would be 2. That I would pick. Like I said, Thomas Dolby would be one. I tried to get Josh into I think I bought this for him. I don't know if he dug it or not, but that's one of my favorites, and I love that one quite a bit. So Heaven 7, yes, I do have Heaven 17 actually. What Heaven 17 do I have? Hold on. Let me look at my. It's right before my Hendrix. Sorry. So this is what I got from Heaven 17. I got The Luxury Gap, and I've got How Men Are. And these were blind buys because I couldn't remember. Like, I didn't know if I'd recognize anything off of here. And I was like, wow, this is not, I really thought this was going to sound like Sophistopop. I imagined that they were going to sound a little bit like Style Council or Spandau Ballet or something like that. I'm not sure why, but they totally, they've got a very unique sound. I love both those albums. Sparks 1979 album, Number One in Heaven is totally synth pop, really. Cool. Soft Cell, you know, I had a copy of Nonstop Erotic Cabaret on by, but it was a beat up copy. Like, it was like in one of the worst condition albums that I have, and I've been looking for an upgrade on that, or Nonstop Erotic Dancing also. I would even take that one. I like that one. So now Soft Cell, what do I have? I've got so this is what I've got on Soft Cell. I got this, which is the Tainted Love, you know, that medley with Where Did Our Love Go? It's got Loving You, Hating Me, Where the Heart Is, and Tainted Love 91. This was like a reissue in 1991 or 92. And then I've got the Best of Soft Cell, the very, very best of Soft Cell, which I like a lot. But I just can't find their stuff on vinyl. You know, the only stuff I ever see is on CD, but I know I got to get myself some more of that for sure. Yeah, the Yaz, Steve Nash, Yaz, Vince Clarke actually formed Depeche Mode. He was on their first album. He wrote, like, I think all the songs except for one. And he was not on their second album. He left after one album. He went and formed Yazoo with Alison Moyer. Their first album was Upstairs at Eric's. And then they released a second one, and then he went on to form Erasure. So yeah, Depeche Mode was 4, and Vince Clarke left, and then it was just Dave Gahan, Martin Gore, and Andy Fletcher for A Broken Frame. And then they got Alan Wilder right around the construction time again, and they were a foursome. And I mean, not to get too much into Depeche Mode history, but that's Vince Clarke is the guy that I was referencncing before. Yeah, it's almost impossible not only to find Soft Cell, but to find it in decent condition as well. Memorabilia and Sex Dwarf. Yeah, I love Sex Dwarf. I love that whatever it is, it sounds like a theremin, you know, what the Beach Boys used on Good Vibration. It kind of sounds like that. I love that. Yeah, Sex Dwarf is awesome. But yeah, it's hard to find on vinyl. There was one copy I had, or that I saw one time in a store, but it was like one of those deals where I had an armload of records. I was already spending more than I wanted to, and these were records I just couldn't put back. I passed up on it. I thought, I'm sure I'll find it again. Of course, I did not. So I'm kind of bummed out about that, because I would have loved to have gotten an upgrade on Nonstop Erotic Cabaret, or whatever the name is. Soft Cell and 8-track. Ernesto, seriously? I didn't even know their stuff would be available. That is awesome. 8-track. Which Soft Cell album? Just out of curiosity. But yeah. Anyway, I loved it. You know, another one that I had on cassette. It was like an EP. It was called Soul Inside. And there was a track called Numbers on there. Numbers was great. It was like an extended version of the track Numbers. There's a version of it on the very best of, but it's not the version that I remember on that EP cassette that I have. But I would love to I'd love to find more Soft Cell if only I could. But it's just, you know, again, it's not easy to come by. the song Sex Warp has to be played loud. Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you guys can have a strobe light as well, a strobe light, I think would be awesome to have while you're playing that. Have I covered Thompson Twins yet? The first two albums are great. I have not covered Thompson Twins, but you know, I can go get my I can show you what I got from Thompson Twins. I gotta put my records back together here. I was showing earlier my Tears for Fears vinyl collection, but I will, when I put this back, I will go ahead and I'll grab that one. Thompson Twins. And I was just playing some Thompson Twins actually. But I'll show you what I got. So I believe this is Thompson Twins, their first album. First of all, hold on just a second. I apologize. I got to refresh my. All right. I gotta just keep myself hydrated here. So this was Thompson Twins, their first album, which maybe not the greatest debut. It's got In the Name of Love on it. I don't even know what the heck else is on here actually, but In the Name of Love is the big one. And then this is like the 12-inch single for In the Name of Love. And then I got two versions of their next album. This is the UK version. It's called Quick Step and Sidekick. And this has got Lies on it. It's got Love on Your Side, which is a great track. We Are Detectives. So not a bad. So this is the UK version, and then the North American version is just called Sidekicks. Same track listing, I believe. Same cover, but just I don't know why they shortened it in America to just Sidekicks, but whatever. And then I've got the 12-inch single for the song Lies, which is just kind of a variation on the cover. So you got Bigger, Better Lies, long version of a song called Beach Culture, and then Lies, the dub version. Then maybe my favorite Thompson Twins, this is End of the Gap, which I think that was the cover to, yeah. I think they used that for the cover of this Thompson Twins best of. So yeah, Into the Gap. This is just a great Doctor, Hold Me Now on here. The Gap, the title track was just great. This is a great album. And then I was playing this earlier, actually, their next one. Here's the Future Days, which a cover of the Beatles Revolution, which most people hate. I mean, that's okay. But this is Lay Your Hands on Me, which was a big hit. King for a Day. I Love You, Kill the Clown off of here. And then this is like a remix, the best of the Thompson Twins greatest mixes. These are all remixes of their 80s stuff on here. So yeah, that's what I got Thompson from the Thompson Twins. Quick Step and Sidekick. The first two Thompson Twin records were only released in the UK. Quick Step and Sidestick and Into the Gap. Not familiar with the first album. Yeah, it's I don't think they'd really developed their sound yet. It was kind of a very basic kind of a synth pop sound, like everybody was just kind of feeling their way, very, dance oriented kind of stuff. But yeah, anytime you can, and Thompson Twins stuff aren't very difficult to find. I mean, you don't have to really, you know, not number one, they're not expensive, and number two, I think they're not very rare either. So just kind of catching up on some comments here. Nonstop erotic cabaret on 8-track, Ernesto. That's freaking awesome. Into the Gap, Total Breakthrough album. Yeah, absolutely. All those videos were on MTV. The record before, In the Name of Love, is called The Product of Participation. Okay, so that's not their first album. Yeah, I was thinking, because there were more, I feel like there were more band members than just the three on that first album, but I've never seen it all. Scritti Politti is another one. I love Scritti Politti. You guys, anybody Scritti Politti fans? I can dig out my Scritti Politti albums as well. After I put my Thompson Twins back, but yeah, Scritti Politti is one that, you know, definitely synth pop, but they also kind of fit into that category of sophistopop. During the 80s, UK was very driven by singles more so than full albums. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's kind of like even going back to the 60s with the Beatles and the Stones. I mean, they would really butcher those early UK albums in America. But, and I mean, I guess you could kind of say the same for Duran Duran, but Scritti Politti is another one. And I found their first album because I had always assumed that Cupid's Psyche 85 was the first Scritti Politti album, but it's actually not. I can't remember the name of it, though. I'd have to pull the record out, but I got it recently, and it's an interesting album for sure. But yeah, Thompson Twins. I was just actually playing a little bit of Thompson Twins earlier. But let's see. Japan. I love Scritti Politti, Jeff. Cupid's Psyche 85 is a masterpiece. Well, let me go grab my Scritti Politti records because I've got quite a few actually. Let me see. I'm sorry about this. I got to dig them out and find them. They were before my assignment. All right. Yeah, I didn't realize. I forgot I had so many. All right. So, Songs to Remember is the first Scritti Politti album. I think this might have just been, I don't know if this was a UK only release, but in some ways it's synth pop, in some it's almost like art rock a little bit. It's an interesting album. So that was the first one. And then Cupid's Psyche 85, love this track, love every song on here. Like there's not a weak track on here. If you're a synth pop fan, the word girl is just amazing. It's kind of got almost like a ska, like that reggae song to it. Perfect Way, I've always said Miles Davis covered Perfect Way on one of his 80s albums. So if it's good enough for Miles Davis, it should be good enough for the rest of us. Would Be's is great. Hypnotize, just a solid, amazing album. And then this is the 12-inch single for Would Be's, and you've got Absolute, so remixes on here of that one. Then this is the Perfect Way 12-inch single. It's got the Way Perfect mix and the Way Perfect version on here. This is the another 12-inch. This is for Absolute. The track on here, and yeah, it's just got some Absolute remixes. Interesting version label there. Then the Word Girl, this is the 12-inch single for that, with Ranking Ann. I assume that's Ranking Ann. And there's a version on here, I think it was on the cassette. There's like a remixed extended version of that track. This is the Would Be's 12-inch single, which got just the Would Be's version. I don't know what that means. And then Would Be's Pray Like Aretha Franklin. I'm pretty sure those are remixes. And then their next album, Provision, which I do like a lot. This came out in, I think, 88. Boom, There She Was. The single Overnight is great. It's a little more of a contemporary kind of sound for the time anyway, but I still dig it a lot. And then the Boom, There She Was, 12-inch, which has got some remixes of that. And a song called World Come Back to Life, which is not on the Provision album. So yeah, anytime I see Scritti Politti, I definitely try to pick them up. So yeah, Word Girl is great. I love that. That's like my favorite, maybe my favorite Scritti Politti song. Band When in Rome with the song The Promise. Yeah, that one. What movie was that in? God, that's such a great song. I can't remember what movie that is, but I feel like it was in some kind of like iconic 80s movie. Yeah, Alphaville. I've got that album that's got Forever Young on it. Can't think of the name of it. But Trans X, Living on Video. Is that a band? See, Ultravox. I don't have Ultravox, but you know, it's one of those bands I've heard of. I think I might have even heard a track or two. But yeah, there's so much synth pop out there, and just because it's, you know, so much of it was based in the UK, I don't see a lot of it over here in my neck of the woods, just because I don't think like a lot of people, especially, you know, right where I come from, we're buying a lot of it. So you don't see a lot of it like in the used bins and stuff. But I would love to pick all that stuff up. You know, all the stuff that you guys are mentioning is great. Animotion, yeah, Obsession. Yeah, like iconic, like what would be iconic synth pop songs? You know, for me, gosh, I would think like some OMD stuff would have to be up there. You know, stuff that everybody knows is like would be like If You Leave. But for me, you know, I love like Tesla Girls, I think is great. I think for Depeche Mode, you'd have to have songs in there like Blasphemous Rumors, Everything Counts. You know, anything from Black Celebration actually are some of my favorites. Some Yes in there. But yeah, you guys are coming up with some great bands, stuff that I definitely need to check out for sure. Napoleon Dynamite, was that in? Yes, Napoleon Dynamite. I totally, that was at the end, wasn't it? Wasn't that song like at the very end of Napoleon Dynamite, like maybe when the credits are rolling? You're so right. I'm glad brought that up. The Vienna track, Classical Inflection. The Calls, Modern Romance. No, I don't. Was that the one that had When the Walls Came Down on it? I think it is, isn't it? That was the one. That was like that album was on MTV, When the Walls Came Down. Does that have synth pop stuff on it? Because I always kind of thought that was sort of like The Alarm or some like bands like that, The Call. And did they have very many albums either? And Simple Minds is another band. You know, you had mentioned that before. Like that's a band I don't see much out in the wild on. But I would love to get more into Simple Minds, because I know they're one of those classic 80s bands. But yeah, Heaven 17, I know they've got more. I think they even recorded into the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, but that was another band that I just got into, I would say like within the last year, because I hadn't checked them out that much. Vienna and Rage and Eden albums. Yeah, and one of the things I've always wondered, like, people talk about how grunge, when grunge and all like that heavy alternative stuff came out in the 90s, like it definitely killed hair metal off, or at least, hair metal. And I don't use that term disparagingly. Let's just say heavy metal, it kind of killed off a lot of the heavy metal that had been popular before. And I think, could the same be said for synth pop? I feel like synth pop also kind of suffered a bit. You have Depeche Mode, who definitely went in a more kind of organic, kind of more of a rock sound with songs of faith and devotion. New Order definitely started. I mean, New Order always had, guitar elements into it, but I feel like Republic, was definitely less of a dance-oriented, electronic-oriented album than, even the album before, which, I love this one. I think Technique, fantastic. New Order too. Like, I haven't heard anybody talk about New Order, but I mean, this is a great synth pop album. And this, was when you had what's his name, Bernard Sumner, still trying to sound a bit like, they were still trying to sound like Joy Division, and Bernard Sumner was still trying to sound like Ian Curtis a little bit on this record. But this is a great synth pop album, as was Power, Corruption, and Lies. This is another great synth pop. Age of Consent, 586, Blue Monday, Ultraviolence is great. The Beach, I mean, come on, that's just incredible stuff. Low Life is another great one. Love Vigilantes on here. Perfect Kiss. Subculture, Sooner Than You Think. That's awesome stuff there. And Brotherhood, much like Junk Culture was the album where OMD kind of started to depart away from that synth pop electronic sound. Brotherhood was really an album for New Order, where they started getting more guitar, less kind of the drum machine, less, not that they were abandoning synth pop, obviously, because they are always going to be synth pop, but just expanding kind of like the palette of their sound on this record, which has got a very different sounding version of Bizarre Love Triangle than the version that came out on this one. Substance is great. This was like, again, everybody I knew had this album growing up. Substance, they had it on cassette, and everybody played it at parties. Bizarre Love Triangle, Blue Monday were just like party staples back in college. True Faith track. Yeah, that was a great single. I've been on the hunt for that 12-inch. I would love to get that 12-inch for all of that. But I've got this version of Technique, and it's a 2-disc set, and it's got like some remixes. It's got B-side, like all the B-sides from the 12-inch singles. This was an import from the UK, which I picked up. I love this album. I think this was 1989, and I remember I got this on cassette, being so excited because it was a follow-up to Substance, and it did not disappoint. It's almost like this was a collection of, I mean, every track on here is just amazing. It's almost like another version of Substance, where every track is great, every track is danceable. And I remember, their next album, which was Republic. and just kind of like, I just didn't like it as much. I mean, it's a good album, but I was hoping for like another technique. Like this cover sucks. I hate this cover. And New Order is another band where I loved the artwork on their covers up until like the 90s hit. And all my favorite synth pop bands started coming out with these shit covers. Like I don't get it. I don't like it. I would have been happy with just like this had been a cover maybe, but I don't understand what the fuck they were going for on here. I don't like anything about the artwork on here. And I know it's about the music, it's not about the artwork, but the artwork still, you know, I think is very much a part of a record and how, you know, you process the music. And, you know, for me, I was always like looking through the artwork and stuff when I would listen to an album. And this, I was just like disappointed on many levels. You know, I heard Regret and like, okay, you know, it's decent, it's got a good hook. And then, you know, I think World was the next single off it. So I mean, there's stuff on here I like. I just don't like it anywhere near like the other stuff, the stuff that had come before. But you know, Bronski beat, yeah, OG New Order, impossible. New Order records, at least around here, like you cannot find them anywhere. I've got some New Order 12 inches. I can find some every now and then 12-inch singles. I've got Technique on vinyl, but I've never seen any New Order OG records. Forget about it. Like I've never seen any of those. So they're almost impossible. The CDs are even hard to find. But Wilson Grande album do New Order. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, ABC, Alan, ABC would definitely be, I think, in the synth pop category for sure. But that was, you know, the thing that I always appreciated about New Order and Joy Division, because I feel like, you know, if you're going to talk about New Order, you know, you got to talk about Joy Division. And obviously they didn't have that long of a career. Unknown Pleasures. And then Closer is a masterpiece. I love Closer, even though it's a very depressing listen. But, you know, I always wondered, I mean, as many people do, if Eden Curtis hadn't passed away, you know, if Joy Division were just morphed into a version of New Order, except with Ian Curtis on vocals and writing, you know, the lyrics and stuff like that, because, you know, you got Love Will Tear Us Apart. Love Will Tear Us Apart, I would say, is one of those iconic synth pop songs, like seminal synth pop songs where it influenced so many bands, you know, that came afterwards, and also New Order. But, you know, New Order always had, you know, they have always had like Peter Hook as their guitarist. So they were never strictly, you know, their sound was never just drum machine, synthesizer. You always had kind of Peter Hook that gave them that, well, you don't like synth pop? Well, we got some guitar in here to, you know, and they were one of the few early synth pop bands that had that element, you know, of a guitar with Peter Hook as a great guitarist as well. Buggles, Video Killed the Radio Star. Brian Ferry. Yeah, Brian Ferry. Can we call him synth pop also? I love Brian Ferry. You know, and even isn't Roxy Music like Avalon? Wouldn't we consider that to be a synth pop album as well? Like Flesh and Blood definitely has synth pop albums, or I'm sorry, synth pop elements to it. Avalon is a synth pop record, to my way of thinking, for sure. Brian Ferry stuff, you know, Boys and Girls, Beta Noir is most definitely synth pop. And I think, you know, Brian Ferry also, you know, was heavily influential on some of those early 80s, like kind of like the new romantic kind of synth pop, where you got the very kind of suave and passion vocal. So, yeah. Buggles, I don't know. Were they like a one-off? They had like one album, didn't they? Peter Schilling's Major Tom, I love. Yeah, that's a great one. And whatever happened to Peter Schilling? Some of these bands, like Peter Schilling, another one I will tell you, and this is a synth pop album, and I know he's had more songs than this, but Nick Kershaw, anybody familiar with Nick Kershaw? He had the song Wouldn't It Be Good? I've got his album Human Dancing, which is a total synth pop album. Naked Eyes, first album is an amazing synth pop record. That's kind of another one of those. Had a very short shelf life. Always something there to remind me. And Promises, where it got on MTV. But that first album, like When the Lights Go Out, is an amazing synth pop song. One of my favorite. I need to do like my top 25 synth pop songs, but that song would definitely be on there. So Naked Eyes, I think we can call them synth pop. Peter Hook had a great bass sound. Early Roxy music was very synth heavy. Nick Kershaw. And I know I looked him up on Wikipedia recently because I played the Human Dancing album. I'm like, did he ever come out with anything else? And I think he's still putting I don't know if he's still putting albums out, but I know he's still active today. I think he had quite a few albums that were released in the UK. Human Dancing is the only one that I've ever heard of, but I love his stuff a lot. They weren't synth pop, but what about the Go-Go's? Gotta love the Go-Go's. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I would classify. I mean, Go-Go's would probably just be like new wave, but Head Over Heels, I love that one. Vacation's a great song. Our Lips Are Sealed. Speaking of Our Lips Are Sealed, what about what is it? God, the band that did that cover, I can't think of it. They were they used to be the Specials, and then they kind of splintered up, and you had God, I can't even think of it. It's gonna come to me. Because they had the Lunatics Are Taking Over the Asylum. That was the other one, and I've got their album. I can't think of the band's name. Somebody help me out here, bail me out. The Lunatics. Shoot. Our Lips Are Sealed. All right, somebody bail me out here. What was the name of that freaking band? But they're definitely synth pop. Why can't I think of their name? But they it was either, or was it English Beat? Maybe they were splintered off of the English Beat. I don't remember. Can we call English Beat synth pop a little bit too? That might be another great synth pop band. But why can't I think of it? The other band that I was thinking of was my mind is totally gone to crap. But anyway, I don't know. Can anybody think of who did that? Because Our Lips Are Sealed. Wasn't General Public. General Public, though, was because when the English Beat broke up, you had some of the members that went to General Public, and then the others went to Fun Boy 3. Fun Boy 3 was the name of it. Yeah. And then you had some of the guys that went into Fun Boy 3. But that was definitely a synth pop group. So, yeah. And I know. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, yeah. And that was a synth pop band, too. But I mean, can the Cure, some of the Cure, is that a little bit of synth pop? Like when they were in their Head on the Door phase, or Let's Go to Bed. The English Beat were definitely more ska. Like you got the Specials, English Beat, kind of bands like that. But like for The Cure, you know, like I would consider The Cure. I mean, even Faith. I mean, this is a synth pop album. All Cats Are Gray. That is a synth pop, just one of those like moody synth pop tracks. This is synth pop. Let's Go to Bed is synth pop. The Walk, Love Cats, Upstairs Room. I consider this to be synth pop as well. The Head on the Door, for sure. Fun Boy 3, yeah, Alan. I know it took me way too long to come up with that. I'm kind of embarrassed it took me that long to realize it. Cure probably goth pop, yeah. Ernesto, fair enough. I think they got some elements to it, but you know, especially the gothic stuff. Like when you're getting into albums like, you know, I mean, this is definitely gothic. Pornography is definitely gothic. Disintegration. So I feel like The Cure was always like in and out of goth, because like you know, this album sounds like definitely post-punk. 17 Seconds, definitely just kind of like that post-punk, early new wave. And then like when they really started kind of getting goth for me was like with this one, because you've got The Holy Hour, Primary, Funeral Party, The Drowning Man, definitely goth stuff. But yeah, The Cure are just awesome, for me anyway. We were just talking recently. I'd done a live stream last Thursday with the guys, and we were talking about our you know, 80s, like our favorite album from each year of the 1980s. And Disintegration was my favorite from 1989. Chris Brophy had chosen Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me from 88. I could have very easily picked The Head on the Door for 85, but you know, just that early Cure stuff. Sparks, I know Sparks is one of the bands. I need to watch the documentary. And then, but I know they have such an extensive catalog, and the way that I am, like, I can't just buy one album by an artist. I have to like start digging for every album in their discography. And I'm worried because Sparks has such an extensive collection. I love everything I've heard by Sparks, and I probably need to start with that documentary. The only Sparks song that I'm kind of like immediately comes to mind was that one that they did with Jane Whelan from the Go-Go's, Cool Places. I think that was Sparks, right? Wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Angst in My Pants. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, totally. Alan, if you're an old guy at 52, that makes me an old guy, because this month I'm turning 52. So I think we're both, you know, we both grew up listening to all this classic synth pop stuff. So please don't call yourself old, because then that means I'm old. But I mean, who am I kidding? I already know. But yeah, like New Order is a great one. Trying to think of like what else, you know, could be categorized as synth pop. Like some of like, isn't this album, and I know like not all of their stuff is, but for me, like this is synth pop, right? I mean, The One Thing, which, you know, and it's funny because when The One Thing came on MTV, I saw the band Inks. I'd never heard of Inks before, not realizing they were called NXS. But and I know it's not like strictly synth pop. There's some like harder stuff on here, but you know, they've also got some. Maybe I'm out of line, maybe they're not, but you know, that's another band that I kind of think of that I love. This is Thompson Twins. Speaking of Thompson Twins, this is the only Thompson Twins I've really got on CD. But, you know, can we call, is this synth pop? I would categorize this not every the album, you know, but you got This Is the Day on here, Uncertain Smile. I think there are elements of synth pop and those stuff as well. So yeah, The Fix. Yeah, The Fix. I've got what is it? I've got the Shuttered Room, Reach the Beach, Phantoms, isn't that their third album? Then the one after that. Hold on a second. Just because I got my cassettes handy. So Shuttered Room, Reach the Beach. Yeah, it was called Phantoms. Then Walkabout, which sounds very Australian to me. And then this weird one, I don't know what all this is. The Fix. I think this might be a live album. I can't even see what the hell is on. Yeah, it's got to be live albums. It's got Stand or Fall on here. Built for the Future, which is off Phantoms. Saved by Zero. Yeah, that's got to be. It must be like a live album. Just for whatever reason, it hasn't been titled. Tears for Fears cassette. But anyway, yeah, I got a crap load of cassettes. Anyway, but Lock Mange were an early to mid 80s duo who incorporated a lot of Eastern stuff. Okay. Calm Animals. I know Calm Animals. Where did I see that? I think I saw it, I think on cassette, but it was not in great condition. But that's another one. It's like, God, I got to get that because it's got like the on the cover. I know what you're talking about. It's got like an Egyptian kind of like a motif on the cover. I need to get that one as well. And then they had kind of like I think they had an album in 1990 as well. But like Oingo Boingo. How about Oingo Boingo? You guys like Oingo Boingo? Devo. Thank you. Yes. Get some Devo, absolutely. God, how did I forget Devo? Yeah, totally. And Devo is a band that I just gotten into recently. Yeah, I would say over like the past year or so. Like I got Freedom of Choice on vinyl. They had Are We Not Met? No, not what one was it? Oh no, it's Devo. Yeah, the picture disc. I've got that. I need to get what's the one? New Traditionalist, I think is the album. Yeah, I need to get way more Devo in my collection. It's just a question of finding it, not having to pay a fortune for it. But yeah, all great. Yeah, is there any other band that I haven't talked about that we want to consider synth pop? Yeah, I'm just looking through. I don't know. Have I missed any? You know, but like Duran Duran, again, I think their early stuff. And Duran Duran was one of those bands that I liked back in the day, but I was kind of afraid to say so because it was totally uncool. Flock of Seagulls, yeah, actually, Steven, I put my records away, but I'd shown my Flock. I got the first 3 Flock of Seagulls albums. The first one, Listen, and the Story of a Young Heart. And Steven, maybe you can tell me, have you heard the 4th Flock of Seagulls album? Because I've heard a lot of people talk trash about that album, and I don't know if is it not any good? If I see it, should I pick it up? Red Rider, Lunatic Fringe. Yeah, my God, totally forgot about that one. That's a great one. But yeah, that 4th album, I've seen it, the cover does not look that great. And so I haven't picked it up because it's a little, the copy that I've seen have been a little pricier than I think I really wanted to get into. But you know, yeah, Devo is one I got to get more of. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any others. And anybody weigh in on whether that's considered synth pop or not? And you know, I still wonder, like, is New Order putting anything more out? Like, what is the status? Like, we had Tears for Fears that came out with a new album. Duran Duran just came out with an album, which was great. I really don't hold out hope of getting any more music from The Cure. I'm not sure where things stand with New Order. Like, I think they're probably touring, but I don't know if they actually are going to be putting any more studio material out. Paul Reynolds was a guitar player. It's not very good without Paul Reynolds. So did he leave after the third album then? On the Devo tip, Synth Pop honorable mention, Dare to Be Stupid by Whirl. That song is legit awesome. Yeah, that was definitely Devo, heavily Devo influenced, wasn't it? You know, Devo was another one of those albums where I think they kind of like, they were like new wave, but then they were synth pop. They had guitar elements in it, some post-punk stuff in there, which I think was really good. But yeah, I don't know. And I forgot I had Scritti Politti. I got to get Provision on CD as well. But I love this record, and I own it actually on cassette and vinyl and CD. That's how much I love it. I don't know that I necessarily need it on all those formats, but that's how I got it. Anyway, you know, and there's certain bands which I think, like, you know, newer, like, are there any newer synth pop bands out there? I mean, I know we've been primarily talking about 80s synth pop bands, but, you know, a band like this, anybody familiar with Air? This is totally like a newer, I don't want to say newer, but like a kind of contemporary synth pop. If you haven't checked Air out, man, that is fantastic. And Josh, he got me this one too. This is another kind of a newer synth pop. They're called Phanogram. They're another kind of like a modern synth pop kind of style. Definitely worth checking out. This, I know I'm not going to pronounce it right. Visages Fade to Gray is a synth pop classic. Midge Ur of Ultravox. Yeah, I've heard of Midge Ur. But yeah, well, cool. Well, this has been a fun discussion. I would love to, you know, kind of have another live stream about synth pop, because I love talking about live stream, and maybe I can actually, you know, pull some albums, maybe talk about a top, you know, I need to pull together like a top 25 synth pop list, favorite song list, because it's one of those that I think has gotten greater respect, I think, especially with the Stranger Things and people kind of appreciating 80s music a bit more. But you know, thanks everybody who has joined in on this, and you know, I'd love to do more synth pop live streams in the future if everybody wants to you know, kind of join in, and we can have a synth pop discussion. So thank you everybody. I was very pleasantly surprised with the participation I got tonight. So I hope everybody enjoys their weekend, and you guys take care, and maybe we'll see you again some night in the future. So